Yeah, welcome into the Thursday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Property managers, if you manage it, they maintain it. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Visit Busy Bee HVAC at the Music City Home Expo event this Friday through Sunday at the Fairgrounds Expo Center. And ladies and gentlemen, it is NFL Draft Day. We have made it to Draft Day here on the program. Joe Rexrode, good morning. Happy Draft Day to you. How are we doing?
Happy Draft Day. Before we get into that, you want to hear a little story?
I do.
Okay. So I couldn't make the game last night. I've already told Ian this story. Sorry, Ian, you have to hear the story again. I'll make it fast. Couldn't make the game last night. I had work stuff kind of came up, and then we dad taxi stuff came up. So we were following along, on the, what is it, Game Changer? Is that right?
Yeah.
Game Changer?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But apparently, parents can actually, watch a stream. We had to follow along, and then we get texts from people and stuff. So we're winning. This is Nolensville against Ravenwood and baseball. And then, they get a big hit late to take the lead. And Mr. Guy who shamed me for even thinking about going to the game, all of a sudden I get a text, huge hit. I'm like, what doofus? Are you texting me? Making fun of people for going to the game if their kid isn't playing. And now you're like, so then he claims that he wasn't. He had people just telling him, telling him what was going on. So anyway, apparently it got pretty bad. Police had to get involved. At least one person had to get removed from the premises. This is not okay. Okay, it's high school baseball.
Going on out there?
Yeah, but late in the game, our friend, I got to shout out Griffin Hendrickson because he hit the 2-run home run to win the game for Nolensville in the 9th inning, and said, okay, you can bet that there was a storm of texts that were sent toward Koharski at that point. So shout out Griffin and the Knights, and to everybody. It's high school baseball. It's sports, it gets intense. There are rivalries. That's all great. I mean, let's keep things in perspective a little bit. Unless you're talking to Paul Koharski, and then let the F-bombs fly, and if there needs to be a little bit of violence, there needs to be a little bit of violence.
I gave you two a charge yesterday as I left the studio to maintain order at that thing last night. Neither one of you showed up to it. I'm so disappointed.
I know, seriously. Yeah. Yeah, apparently there was I don't know, man. I don't know. Apparently there was a parent, not one of ours, who was a little bit out of control. But, yeah, probably a friend of Koharski's.
And we confirmed it wasn't Koharski?
Well, that's funny. Maybe he's lying to me, and he actually was there, and he lost his bleep. I mean, I don't know for sure that that's not true. I need video to confirm it wasn't him.
No. Congratulations to Nolensville. I guess that would have been Wednesdays for nights.
Wednesdays for nights. That's right. Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you.
Ian, how we doing? What's going on?
Good morning. Doing good, thanks. Thursday, draft day. We made it, huh? How about it?
We did.
Finally. Yeah. But doing pretty well. It was another beautiful day yesterday. Busy. A little tired today. We'll see. Hopefully we can sneak in a quick maybe nap at some point so I can make it up. Luckily, the Titans only have the 4th pick. Hopefully, they don't trade back, and
or trade back into the first round.
Or trade
that is possible too.
Yeah, well, if that happens, yeah, I'm probably gonna miss it. If it
catch up on
if
that
it gets too late, yeah.
He says if that happens, I'll find out about it in the morning.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll make it through the whole first round, but we'll see. We'll try our best, but yeah, it should be fun. I don't know, all types of wackiness and. Everyone's trying to say they don't know what to expect and who's going to move up to 3. And I don't know. It should be fun, hopefully, huh?
Joe, pretty much everybody has Jeremiah Love at 3 now. So I don't know what to make of that. I looked at, a bunch of mock drafts yesterday. Brugler came out with his final mock draft this morning, 35 minutes ago. He's got Jeremiah Love at 3 to Arizona. I don't know what to make of all this. Now everybody has got him at 3.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So they are putting that out, right? Like this is a strong signal that's being put out. So again, it's just sort of like, are you lying to everybody? or is this just what it is? It's going to be tonight will be an interesting glimpse at them and their approach. And again, I'm still also that if that's the case, we will never know on whether whoever Schrager talked to in the Titans organization steered him wrong on purpose or not. But if it does happen, then I think that means, well, I don't think that does mean that the Titans are going to get one of the two edges that they should be atop their list, and that's pretty exciting for the Titans. To me, I know some fans probably don't think that's exciting.
Well, it's they're at least going to have the chance to get one of them, and we'll see if they.
Well, that's
true.
Or not. Well, yes, that's true. It will be the person will be available to them.
Yeah, that person will be available to them. But yeah, like everywhere I look right now, Jeremiah Love going 3 to Arizona. So that is interesting heading into tonight. I mean, there are some people who think that I guess there's going to be some form of chaos tonight of like all these trades that happen, or we'll see. We talked about this before, the trades heading into round one that everybody always expects. How many times does it actually happen? We'll see. I mean, this is an interesting draft from the standpoint of I don't think very many people think it's very good. So what does that mean in terms of the trades that happen in the draft? But that part of it is going to be interesting. We've talked about Arizona for a while. There are people with the Jets, Joe, that are still basically split right down the middle of whether the pick at 2 is going to be Arvell Reese or it's going to be David Bailey. And everybody feels like it's going to be one of them. People are having a tough time nailing down which one it's going to be, right? So I am very interested to see once the Jets get off the clock at number 2, which one of those 2 edge rushers is gone. And then, like, in some ways, I'm kind of hoping Arizona takes Jeremiah Love at 3 so the Titans could take the other one at 4, because that's how I've wanted it to go the whole time.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a good deal for them. So, what Ian was just saying, Chris Canty, he's got the Cowboys moving up to 3 to get Love.
That's sportsmanlike, just listening.
That's a toasty little take. But it seems like one way or the other, people just think Jeremiah Love's going at 3.
I guess so.
The Titans aren't gonna have the opportunity to. And so then
Which continues to make me extremely skeptical. It just does.
Me too. But then also, like, you could go with, like, do the Titans do they have the same intel that all these media, folks covering the draft do? And so is that why they're like, well, we didn't want him anyway, so let's tell Schrager that? I mean, like, you could go there too. Like, they just assume he won't be there for them, so that's no big deal. I don't know. They wanted Joe Alt a couple years ago, and then he was gone.
They did. He was gone. The best case scenario, and we're going to get to this coming up next. So Titans fans, let us know. 615-737-1025, our phone number. The best case scenario for me, if Robby Stanley is the general manager heading into this draft, is for one of those 2 edge rushers and Reese or Bailey to be there at 4. And then I said it the other day, like, especially like if Bailey's there at 4, I'm going to make the quickest phone call in the history of the NFL draft to get in there and make the pick. Like, I just give me David Bailey and I will walk out of there happy in the first round. But really, when you're picking 4th and you know that Fernando Mendoza is going number 1, well, that means you should end up with one of, Joe, Arvell Reese, David Bailey, or Jeremiah Love. To me, it's pretty simple. Like, if I end up with one of those 3, I'm pretty happy walking away from things in the first round. Sonny Styles, as we've discussed, may end up being a great player. I don't know that I would walk away happy with that if I'm the Titans or if I'm in charge of the Titans. But when you're picking 4th and you know that a quarterback's going first, you ought to be walking away with one of Reese, Bailey, or Love, and I'd be happy with any of those.
Exactly. No, yeah. I mean, I'd be more happier with either of the edges. And the Reese thing, as time has gone on, I've probably maybe gotten a little bit of cold feet just with the man. I love upside and all that, and Parsons comparisons are great. Every year there's some comparison in this draft that's like ends up being miles away from the truth, right, from a player.
Well, people kept trying to make the Micah Parsons comparison last year
with Abdul Carter, right?
Abdul Carter, yeah.
And it's like, no, not even remotely close.
He did play at Penn State.
Yeah. I think, you know, with that, like if it got to Reese and Styles, let's say, I'm still picking Reese. But like at least in that one, it's like the proof of concept versus the upside thing. A year after their second round pick was an upside thing and a position switch thing that right now doesn't look very good. I mean, I like that one. It gives me and you know, even just the idea that he would fall, then that kind of tells you that there's other people who feel that same way in the league, right?
Yeah.
You know, so that scenario would be interesting. I still would go there, just because of the position and look, he did still make a lot of plays last year at Ohio State. It's not like it's just the question is like there are people who are like, I still think he's better. He's going to end up better as just a linebacker, you know, that's sort of and then it's like, well, then I guess you just should have taken the better linebacker.
We are off and running on NFL Draft Day here on Robby and Rexrode. What is the best outcome if you're a Titans fan tonight? We'll take your thoughts on that. 615-737-1025. That could be a pick at 4. That could be trading back. You could take it any way that you want to take it. Best outcome for Titans fans tonight with the Titans scheduled to pick at number 4. More coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
the Arizona Cardinals are waiting for that phone to ring to see if there's a way out of 3. If they can't get out of 3, Jeremiah Love would seem to be the logical pick. This is a team that has gone defense in the first round of the draft in many years. They've drafted Zaven Collins. They've drafted Walter Nolan. They've drafted Denarius Robinson. This offense, this team, this franchise needs a spark. It needs some excitement. It needs some energy. They hired an offensive-minded head coach in Michael LaFleur. Jeremiah Love regarded as the best player in this draft. It makes a lot of sense if they can't find a trade partner to stay here and take Jeremiah Love.
That was Adam Schefter, also known as Bill Shakespeare, breaking things down for the Arizona Cardinals heading into the draft. Hey, I mean, he is right about one thing, Joe. The Cardinals do need a shot in the arm. When I start thinking of like the most irrelevant franchises in professional sports, they're not that far down the list.
No, they're not. But I still think his analysis there made about as much sense as the sentence that I still don't understand that he wrote about Chris Brazzell. I mean, yeah, okay. They need some excitement. That's exactly how a bad franchise goes about things, right? I mean, yeah, they pick defense. The problem is a lot of those choices were bad. So if you pick good defensive players, then you'd be in better position to do something like this. Like following up, paying Tyler Algier that money and then doing this to me is kind of weird, and it also makes me think, man, Jeremiah Love, he is a special talent, and like I really look forward to watching him in the NFL. But then if he goes there, it's like in the NBA when someone goes to play for the Sacramento Kings, you just forget that they're in the league, you know?
Yep.
So that would suck, but maybe it'll happen. Hey, on weird stories, before we do more draft stuff, did you see the thing about Vrabel?
Yes, I did.
What the hell?
Going to counseling on day 3 of the draft?
He's not going to take part in day 3 of the draft. This is Ian alerted me to this story before the show because he's doing counseling of some sort.
Yeah.
I mean, someone help me with this. Like, is this
day 1 and day 2
completely
are fine, but day 3 is where the line is drawn?
Well, is this not just completely performative? I don't know. 365 days in a year. Like it's like you're doing this to go out of your way to make sure that it's public. I'm going to read Greg Bedard's tweet. He says, this story is now a full-blown PR disaster by the Patriots. Why now, after he just spoke to the team in the media? Why not do this privately? Is something else coming? I mean, this story gets weirder and weirder and keeps getting extended too. Like, let's make it a story for as long as possible.
It does.
Like he went out of his way to not say anything, not answer any questions, really not take responsibility, have no accountability, to try to bury the story, right? And that's what it was. Yeah. Like, let's bury the story, which I understand as a PR strategy. I do. I mean, it was not impressive. He threw Diana Rossini under the bus, but I understand it as a PR strategy. And now you're going to miss day 3 of the draft to go to counseling to like make sure that the story, okay, that I just needed to quickly make sure I wasn't losing my mind here.
Yep, it's a very strange thing. Let's head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Glenn to the program. Glenn, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning. My pick on the draft is Jeremiah Love. Very simply, he's the offensive player that we have a chance at. The number 2 person who touches the ball the most beyond the quarterback, obviously, is a running back. If you could get a Tony Dorsett type ball player, their offense is absolutely atrocious. You can't win if you don't have points. Cam Ward has potential, but at this point, all he has is potential, and you need to get a kind of a 1-2 punch. Defensive players are very, very important, but they don't put points on the board like somebody who touches the ball all the time.
Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, we're throwing best case scenario out there if you're a Titans fan for tonight. What is it? We've seen some votes for Jeremiah Love. My answer would be David Bailey, and that's what I hope happens for the Titans tonight. Joe, we've also seen trade back. Ethan from Lawrenceburg says any kind of trade back is the best outcome, more bites at the apple. K-Dodd on the YouTube chat talked about trading back with Dallas with 12 and 20 and said you could draft Mekhi Lemon at 12.
Ooh.
And then like Jermod McCoy at 20. So that'd be something.
By the way, I apologize for even asking this if it was a fake account. There is some new stuff with his knee. Is that right? Or is it just people just trying to BS?
Who are we talking about? McCoy?
Yeah.
What do you mean
I
new
have not
stuff?
seen that.
Okay. Well, I just may have uttered something.
Well, there's been some chatter about him maybe dropping out of the first round.
Well, there was something. Oh, yeah, there was something. Okay, so who is it? This is, I don't know, man. This is I think a real account.
You got to be careful these days.
Yeah,
you do.
Okay. Well, this says via Tom Pelissero. So let me go to Tom Pelissero's actual account and verify. Of course, the problem is now that Tom Pelissero tweets every 9 seconds. Kaharski, bring me my eggs. According to another person, Pelissero reported that Jermon McCoy, the doctors are concerned he'll need another surgery to replace a bone plug. So
Sure.
So this person is citing Tom Pelissero. I can't find it from Tom Pelissero. If anybody knows out there, this is Ari Pulley.
Yeah, no, it looks like it says, this is from NFL.com. It just says Pelissero, McCoy could potentially slip in the draft from Good Morning Football.
Yeah, and by the way, that knee is not the surgically repaired one. It's the other one. So, I mean, I'm sorry. Like, it's brutal, but, like, I'd be scared as hell of him right now.
Well, if that's true, then, yeah, that's a problem. I mean, look, the ACL part of it, he just got out there and ran a 4.37 and all his testing numbers were good. So strictly from the ACL,
yeah,
I mean, it looks like that is fine at this point. But if there's another knee issue, then yeah, that's probably going to be a problem there in the first round.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So and then sometimes, I mean, these teams have medicals. I mean, sometimes something like this could be exaggerated or whatever. Again, this is another possibility, another misinformation possibility for people is like the exaggeration of injury thing. So that'll be interesting to see what effect, if any, it has on him tonight. But
yeah,
the 12 and 20 thing, I like the 9 and 29 thing a lot better than the 12 and 20 thing. If we're talking about actual trade down scenarios that could materialize, and how do they materialize for the Titans? To me, it's probably a team that, well, yeah, I mean, I think it's probably a team that covets styles. If they think like the Giants might take him.
Yeah.
Or I suppose like if the Titans don't, like if Love is there, the Titans don't want him, and a team covets Love and thinks the Giants, I think the Giants would take Love at 5 if he were there for them.
I agree.
Right? So if the Titans don't want him, or they have other thoughts, they're not all in on Love, and they're fine moving down. Someone wants to come up and get Love at 4, Titans move down. That's where I don't think it's going to happen, but those are the scenarios that are possible. And if that's the case, the 929, which is that's Kansas City, right?
Correct.
The 929 sounds a lot better to me than the 12 and 20. But again, why does Kansas City want to move up to get a running back when they just signed Kenneth Walker?
Yeah, no, I don't think that's going to happen, at least for the running back part of it. And maybe somebody else, but so
the other one is probably the scenario. So are you okay going down to 12 because you are probably cleared of the fully agreed upon tier 1 players in this draft if you go down to 12?
One texter says just stick and pick. There's no one after pick 10 that's worth the first round pick. Bailey, Reese, Styles, or Love. Just take one of the 4 and don't screw it up if you're the Titans. That's basically where I am. Like,
yeah, I mean, I generally agree
like
with
I
that.
said to begin the show, like you're picking 4th, and everybody knows that Mendoza's going number 1. So that means you're going to nobody can change this. You're going to get one of Reese, Bailey, or Love, and I would be just fine with that if I'm the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty simple. Now, if it plays out that way, we'll see. I don't disagree in general with especially when you're this bad, more picks, more swings, all that stuff. But yeah, the premium player thing is something you have to take into account.
615-737-1025, our phone number. We've asked about the best outcome. If you're a Titans fan tonight, keep those coming in. What about the worst outcome? What will leave you saying, what the heck, man? What did they just do if the Titans take that course of action tonight at number 4? We'll take your thoughts on that. We got the best and worst things in sports coming up later this hour at 6:45. Charles Robinson will be with us at 8 o'clock on the program today. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Today, the Nashville Sounds take on Charlotte. First pitch at 6:04. You can catch all the action on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Family Leisure and Social Cantina. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Throwing out the best and worst case scenarios for the Titans tonight. We'll take your best case scenarios and your worst case scenarios. Joe, one texter, says, if they take an offensive lineman in the first round, I will find a new team to cheer for. That's all the text says. If they take an offensive lineman in the first round, I will find a new team to cheer for, is the text.
I'm here for it. Not that I want you to go away, but I'm here for it. Ed is, he says, I think we have to look at who they pick with 4 combined with 35. So, well, people throw their arms up if it's Styles at 5, but they get like Zion Young at 35. Then it looks okay. But then I screamed at him and said, what about the offense, Ed? And then his response was, how about some guards and centers in the middle rounds? Now there's some excitement for the for Titans fandom.
There we go. That 4th round guard's going to hit. That's going to be good. Looking forward to that.
Let me tell you this. If they're in if 4th round, 5th round, whatever, I'm way more excited about a guard that might be one of the top guards in the draft than like taking a flyer on a receiver there.
The 4th, yeah, I totally agree. Absolutely. George says, if the Titans are fortunate to grab Bailey tonight, I'm calling in tomorrow and congratulating Joe because he said David Bailey was the man like 2 months ago. There you go, Joe. You might get some flowers tonight.
I appreciate that, but I'm going to be at be less sucky on the radio counseling, I've decided.
Oh, good. That's good. You're doing the first round. You're not just taking day 3 to do that? Or is that you're just going tonight, huh?
I think I might have to go tomorrow morning.
Okay.
I have to miss the show.
Okay.
Joe, when you say mother farter, can you think of a different word?
Gets me every time. David says, do we expect the Titans to be in the mix to trade back into the first round to grab Bain or someone of that caliber, or are they content to stay at 35 and get an edge rusher there or at other position? The trading back up, I guess, Joe, I could see them trading back up into like the back part of the first round. I don't know that I envision them picking at 4 and then trading back up to like 10 and taking somebody else at 10 as well. I don't know that if I could see that in this draft for the Titans.
Yeah. I mean, Bain's going to, Bain will be gone in the first half of the draft. I'll be shocked if that's not the case. So, the trading back into the first round is like, getting at 28 or 29. It's like, okay, we got our guy. Let's go get him. That could happen. Who would that be? I mean, I don't know, but certainly that could happen, but it wouldn't be him. I mean, he will be long gone. I like the idea of sticking and picking and not giving up picks and having more picks overall, but sometimes you have that guy, just like the Titans have done with, as we talked about the other day, Rashaan Evans, there was a trade up. Tavondre Sweat was a trade up, was he not? Or was that just a stick and pick? I think they moved up.
I think they did.
Yeah.
I need to go back and confirm. There have been so many move ups.
What a tremendous tradition of moving up.
Yeah, that's good. They moved back in the second round last year. Ended up with Femi. Yeah,
well, and that's and like Skyler says, be careful trading down because you lost out on Emin Wari, who remember that sometimes this guy doesn't work out, but he was the guy last year that everybody's talking about like he's just a Swiss Army knife and like the testing's off the charts, like this is just a football player. And some people are like, yeah, not sure. Well, looks like that was a dude. It looks like that was a dude. Now, I think Winston, is going to – I think he has a chance to be good for the Titans. And then Femi, I'm trying to keep an open mind. One very underwhelming year, but a huge year for him ahead. But, trading up, trading down, it happens all the time, especially as you get further and further in the draft because it's just like, it's like the transactions aren't all that costly. Yeah, in a lot of cases to do it. But to me, I
basically care about trading up, trading down in the first and second round. That's about it.
Yeah. After that, you're just everybody's just kind of shuffling around and trying to get their guy or whatever. But I'd like to see. To me, I think the Titans are going to pick at 4 and 35, and I think that's the way to go. Unless you just have something really compelling. It's like, holy cow, this guy's available at 29, but he's gone at 30. Let's go.
Chip from Mount Juliet says, we got to keep all this in perspective. Reese, Bailey, Bain, Love, and Styles are projected premium players. Trading down could add more firepower to build and potentially add playmakers also. It's just a total crapshoot. This from Chip from Mount Juliet on the text line. The first part of that, Joe, is kind of where I land on this. Like, I guess I'd be open to trading back. Like, you'd have to let me know what the trade looks like and who's available and all those things. But I kind of view this as an opportunity for the Titans at 4 to take potentially an elite player. Like, that's what you need the player to be when you're drafting at number 4. And it doesn't always work out. Like, there have been plenty of players drafted at number 4 in the NFL history that have not turned into anywhere close to elite players. So it's no guarantee. But the idea of landing an elite player, whether that's Bailey or Reese or Love or whoever, to me is more intriguing than the possibility of trading back and just stockpiling more picks. You need to start building some premium players on this roster, and I think they've got an opportunity to do that tonight. So I would trading back is not my preferred scenario in this particular instance.
Yeah. Like if they traded back and still ended up with like a Bain, or still ended up with a Carnell Tate, something like that, who still a lot of people would put into that top tier or close to it. Well, then that's a little different, But if you're clear of all those guys, then I would agree. And I'm in general, I still think, like, to me, it's like if you can get David Bailey tonight, you won, as far as we know. And then we'll find out if you really did. But as far as we know, the information we have, like you get a Bailey, I mean, to me, that's best case. That's best case scenario. And we'll see. It's like the whole Jets thing with Bailey. I mean, I have no idea. Everybody on that beat and in the NFL has twisted their brain into a pretzel trying to figure that thing out. I like the alternative viewpoints, Robbie. Jack from Nashville says, am I crazy for thinking Caleb Downs is the best player in the draft? If he goes around and pick 10 or 12, won't we all say what a great pick? I want Downs at 4. I mean, I appreciate the perspective. I totally disagree with it, but I appreciate it. I would not take Downs. I would not take any safety. I mean, look, if you're like, this is going to be Ed Reed, fine. And you knew that, fine. But I do think Downs is going to be a good football player. I definitely would not take him at 4.
I would take him before, but I think he's going to be pretty darn good, man. Like, to the second part of that text, if he goes around, the bottom part of the top 10 or even beyond that, which I don't think he's going to get beyond that. But if he goes in the bottom part of the top 10, I probably will look at it and say, yeah, it's a pretty good pick. Like, I like Caleb Downs a lot. And of course, this is not a surprise, but I think Saban went on McAfee yesterday when he should be conducting a GM search for the Nashville Predators. He went on McAfee yesterday and was like, yeah, Caleb Downs is the best football player in the draft. I don't really know what we're doing here. So I was like, okay, Nick, there we go.
Interesting. Yeah, well, and if Downs is there, as I just mentioned, Bain and Tate, okay. If you trade down and you get Downs, some people would look at it and say, well, you just got Winston, you still have Hooker. That's okay. If he's going to be a great player for you, then that's just fine. There's a little bit of health stuff with him too, but no, I mean, look, he's a really good football player. So it's just, that's a little rich at 4. I just think 4 is a little rich for, really like running back, linebacker, safety. It's an interesting draft because some of the best players in it are at those positions.
Man, if they go David Bailey tonight, he better be good in the NFL. We've been hyping him up for like 3 months. Our reputation's at stake here tonight, Joe, if that's where they go.
Yeah. Well, he's going to be on the team with Hendon Hooker. I mean, you got 2 guys who are going to start taking over the league by storm. And Cam is right. You're right, Cam. They did move up for Levis. That is true. They bumped up to
add another one to the list.
As soon as the second day. God, that was a great.
Gave up a third, I think.
That was a great day in the Titans media room because Kaharski was like, "Oh, they better not take Levis," and then they did, and I just laughed my ass off at him for like 5 straight minutes. It's pretty great. And then we got Levis on the video call and asked him about mayonnaise.
Yeah,
what a great day that was in Titans history.
Well, we've not really brought this up this week, but is either today or tomorrow is Will Levis going to get traded?
I think so.
Okay.
My guess would be Saturday.
Okay, day 3.
Yeah, my guess is like day 3, move around a little bit, and you trade a 6 for a team's other 6, and Levis is part of the deal. Something like that. That's my prediction.
So Monday morning, Will Levis will no longer be a part of the Tennessee Titans, according to Joe Rexrode.
I believe it.
I think I agree with that.
Who
Although,
wants him? Very interested to find out.
I mean, what a quarterback room they could have heading into training camp if they don't, though. I memean, Ward, Trubisky, Levis, and Hooker. What more could you ask for if you're a Titans fan?
That is an absolute just a cornucopia of quarterbacks right there. And Hendon Hooker, think of the trash he could talk to Levis about what his teams used to do to Levis's teams.
Yeah, that is true. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. The best and worst things in sports coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
The best and worst of the sports week. Now on Robby and Rexrode.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is the worst.
You look like you're feeling sorry for yourself. You believe in miracles? Yes!
He's one of one. He is him.
This is a Coke bottle. It's not a crystal ball.
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
Okay, let's go. It is that time of the week. Time for the best and worst things in sports. We'll take your best things, your worst things on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Joe Rexrode, kick us off with your best and worst things in the world of sports.
Well, I love going first. The NFL draft is my best in sports, but there's a lot. This gets very old. The NFL, as we talk about all the time, the NFL dominates the world, and they've somehow managed to stay in the news cycle at all times. Good for them, but a lot of it is monotonous and tiresome. And that includes the draft process, right? Like it's way too long. The extent to which we analyze these players, and then you think about other sports where it's like, who'd the Preds draft? Oh, let's talk about that person for 5 minutes. Okay. And it's just like there's nothing like this, the extent of this analysis, and it gets very tiresome. But the draft itself, I mean, it's pretty cool. Like there's going to be some surprises tonight. There's going to be some goofy stuff on the broadcast tonight. It's kind of exciting to actually see things play out and start to see what these teams are doing with their first round picks. So, and I like how they have it too. I like the first, the second, and third, and the rest of it on Saturday. I think it's a good setup. So best in sports, too obvious, but I'll take it. My worst, I'm going to switch to the Vrabel thing. Like, I'm sorry, but like the way Vrabel has lost an enormous amount of respect around the NFL. An enormous amount of respect around the NFL. I don't think I'm just talking about media people. The way he's handled this situation, the fake presser with no word salad and no actual answers, and then this like counseling that's going to take him away from day 3, which just, I'm sorry, it just seems like this is a thing that may be important in your life, but like that just seems performative to me. That it's cutting into that, or maybe it's the Patriots. Like, let's make sure that this is some publicly known thing. Just totally bizarre. That's my worst in sports.
Ian Safari, your best and worst things in the world of sports.
Okay, I guess I have to do my weekly Nashville SC mention as the best. Another win, first place in the East with 19 points. So they're still rolling. It's pretty legit. They're fun, even winning without Surge, missing a couple games with a hammy. And a little side bet. I don't want to steal Robby's, but playoffs, Stanley Cup early on. Pretty good. Worst in sports? I don't know. I'm torn on this. A little hockey kind of sidebar. What about these studio guys doing play-by-play?
Yeah.
Kind of some of these, Buchagras in particular. John Buchagras seems like a nice guy.
Yeah. He's not great play-by-play.
But he's somehow moved from the booth into the play-by.
I feel bad for AJ because I think she's good, but it's tough to work with him.
And so I'm like,
right? Like
I'm like, okay. You know, they did this with Carl Ravitch. He's, I think, improved. He's actually gotten a little bit better, but he's still not great. Steve Levy, I think they've kind of put him back in the studio after doing some play-by-play, which is probably a good move. Some of these studio guys, and I get it, but yeah, we can do better.
I would agree.
Good point.
My best thing in sports, specifically Tampa Bay, Montreal. If you've not watched any of that series yet and you like hockey, I would watch it. It's got pretty much everything. There's a lot of skill in that series and a lot of just pure hatred. Like they're screaming at each other, leaning across the penalty box, just yelling at each other. Brandon Hagel got in a fight the other night, knocked somebody out, and then got to the penalty box and told him to go to sleep with his hands. So like it was pretty awesome. Like the Stanley Cup playoffs in general are awesome, as we all know. Tampa Bay, Montreal in particular, I have thoroughly enjoyed to this point. My worst thing in sports, my boy Scotty losing in the playoff in the RBC Heritage Classic. I know Joe was hanging on every shot that was hit. You know, he came all the way back. That's a couple second-place finishes in a row for my guy Scotty, Joe. So we got to get this figured out by the time the PGA Championship rolls around.
Always a bridesmaid, huh? It's a tough break, Scotty.
That's not
I don't
me having
know.
any disrespect.
Nah,
Well, it's hard
I don't
to
want to
be
disrespect
that
him.
good at golf and then be an NFL insider like we discovered that he was earlier this week.
That is true. When you consider all the texting that he has to do in between shots, right? I mean,
A lot of stuff going on. Chase from White Bluff says the best is LeBron James absolutely taking over games in the playoffs at 41 years old, which is pretty incredible. It does say the worst is Dame Lillard doing the 3-point contest, but he can't play in a single game, not even in the playoffs. The LeBron thing, I mean, what do you have the other night? 28, 8, and 7 at the age of 41.
And a reverse
Pretty
slam
ridiculous.
down the middle.
Yeah.
Right down the paint.
I retweeted the Colin Coward. Did you guys see this from several years ago? He's like, I saw Jordan at 40. LeBron will never be close to that at 40. Yeah. Good one.
Well, I remember the famous Cowherd one was when he was talking about Ben Simmons. And it was like, Ben Simmons is like, LeBron, we're good now, man. Like the face of the league, you can hand it off. Like, you don't have to go anywhere, but you can. We're good. Like, it's all good.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons is here.
Ben Simmons has arrived.
That aged well.
Another NBA worst, the Wemby injury. I don't know
yeah.
how many people actually saw.
Oh,
Dude, terrible. And he was just rolling. He smacked his face like that.
Yeah.
It's just, that was not fun.
Yeah. Let's head to our phone line. Welcome in Mark to the program. Mark, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, how you doing, Robbie? What's up, Joe?
What's up, Mark?
I got a couple of things. What's this mother word you use, man? Explain that to me real quick, Joe.
Okay,
Mother
well,
what?
this is inspired by now former North Carolina coach Hubert Davis. He does not use profanity, and even when he gets mad at his players, he says, "What the fart are you doing?" And so it's a replacement word, and it works out very well. It's a good replacement word, right?
Yeah, I got you. Well, hey, I'm leading.
It's better than fudge.
Down 20. Hey, Joe, Robbie, I'm leading the charge down 20. I'm leading the charge down 24 West here, Raider Nation today. It's Christmas early in Raider Nation. We're getting Mendoza. Yes, I said it. Getting ready to be one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL. So Raider Nation, we're back. But hey, y'all were talking about the draft, Robbie. Don't leave Dallas out either, Robbie. You know, there's a lot out there saying that Jerry Jones may sneak in there and try to get Jeremiah Love himself down there in Dallas. Jerry's got the picks for the next 2 years, so he may take. You know, Jerry likes to be the king of show out here, so he's already told Pickens, "I'm not going to pay you." So that may happen with Jeremiah Love. He may, you know, Jerry likes that big time running back, Emmett, you know, Ezekiel Elliott and those guys. So I wouldn't count Dallas out. But Joe, Robbie, say if they don't get Bailey. I mean, I like Messador too, man. I think Bain's going to be good, but I think Messador is going to be great, even at 25 years old, which I didn't know that. But I think Messador is going to be good too. But I don't think he's going to be in the first round. But if you got him in the second round, Robbie, you're still doing pretty good. You're still getting a good edge rusher with Messador. I think he would fit that scheme. Do you all, Robbie, Joe, before I go, I'm going to ask y'all, is this the most critical draft in Titans history? Does Borganzi, Brinker, and those guys, do they have to get this right in this draft this year? Or you know, because Amy Adams-Strunk, he's tired of taking the blame for stuff. So do you all think that this is the most critical draft in Titans history? And I'm going to let y'all go. Y'all have a good day,
Mark.
Joe, Robbie, Ian. See y'all later, man.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, buddy. I would answer that this way, Joe. It's hard for me to get to most important draft in Titans history when you're not taking a quarterback. It's hard for me to get there.
So
And,
last year had a case.
last year's got a case. Like when you're talking
Mariota year's got a
Ward, Mariota, Young, right? Like it's hard for me to get the most important draft when you're not talking about quarterback.
Locker. So typically they haven't gone well.
And gone too well.
Yeah. But
Which
it's
may be
important.
some correlation there.
Yeah, I would say so. But very important, without question, for Borganzi, for sure. Huge draft.
615-737-1025, our phone number. Speaking of, what's our confidence level in Mike Borganzi? If you're a Titans fan and you know that he's in charge of all this tonight and this weekend, how confident are we that Mike Borganzi is going to make the right picks and do the job for the Tennessee Titans? We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping for homes and businesses that want to stand out, not blend in. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Visit Busy Bee HVAC at the Music City Home Expo event this Friday through Sunday, coming up the Fairgrounds Expo Center. We will have Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports for his weekly visit coming up to begin the 8 o'clock hour. We got the Rant coming up later this hour and taking your thoughts on the NFL draft at 615-737-1025. Well, Mark just called in and asked us about, whether or not this is the most important draft in Titans history. It's hard for me to get there, but look, it's an important draft. Every draft is important. And, I mentioned it doesn't have the quarterback that you're going to take in there, Joe, but it does have the second-year quarterback that you got to find some way to support in there, right? So Mike Borganzi, to this point, still, all things considered, you're talking about one draft class to this point and now two free agent crops that he's brought in. So, in the grand scheme of things, it's still not a huge body of work that we've seen from Mike Borganzi, but we've seen, not only those two time periods, we've seen him in the middle of the season last year move on from guys like Jarvis Brownlee and Roger McCreary, Tavondre Sweat they move on from this offseason, bring in Jermaine Johnson. So there's a lot that goes into this picture. My question for Titans fans is, where does your confidence currently stand with Mike Borganzi as he is heading into the first round tonight, picking at number 4 overall? And, you got the new coaching staff coming in. There's a lot of layers to it. But I feel like, Joe, and this is just based on the response that we've gotten throughout the years, the last couple of years on the text line and the way things have gone to this point, I feel like Titans fans, for the most part, are pretty confident in Mike Borganzi. There's obviously the fourth rounders that played pretty well last year offensively in DK and Io Manor and Gunnar Helm and what they were able to do. But the bottom line is I think this is probably the fair way I would say it when it comes to the draft. A lot of it's going to be determined by how good or not good Cam Ward is, and the jury's still out on that. You have a second-round pick from a year ago that's shown nothing to this point in Femi Oladejo, and we'll see what he does this year. But I still think from a drafting standpoint, everybody was so quick to anoint Borganzi last year because of how quickly the fourth rounders stepped on the field and at least helped you. And that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. But I still feel like there's a lot of information left to be gathered here on the Mike Borganzi front.
Yeah, no question. I mean, look, some of it is just is public. Someone texted, where's Brinker? And I'm like, well, that's been a good move for them to have him. He's got his job, but he doesn't need to be at the press conference. We're like, Mike, you take this one. Just Borganzi is picking the players. Borganzi is now speaking for it. I think he comes off well. Now, I would also say Brian Callahan came off well too, till he basically showed us he doesn't know the rules of football. But for the time period until like last season, he was impressive in press conferences. Borganzi seems a smart guy, seems to know what he's doing. He's made some good choices. Anybody who's out on Cam Ward, I think, is probably still out on him, right? Like any Titans fan who hated that pick, certainly we talked in this show, like it's just you're going to take a quarterback number 1 overall who would not be the number 1 quarterback in most years and was not widely considered the top prospect. That's a huge risk. Wouldn't do it. They did it. If you're really against that, and of course, most of the fan base, right? Like, okay, well, this is our guy, so let's rally around him. But if you're still out on that, you're out on him. The Femi thing is definitely a big deal, and how that turns out. You're going to have misses for sure. You just have to have more hits than misses. It's a huge draft, and probably, I don't know, not too far into next season, you're still going to have a pretty good idea of how good this draft is, and then I think the answer on him, it won't be long into next year where it's like, okay, either he really did stuff that helped this team, and you know what, all those Jets and Giants signings, even though again we could look at that and say how influenced was he by coaches, But all those Jets and Giants signings were actually, a lot of them are not bad. But this text, I think, is a good one, Robbie, from an unnamed texter. Borganzi is the litmus test that lets me know I'm a sheep. After all the abusive relationships I've been in with J-Rob and Rant, I believe in Borganzi explicitly. I trust in his process.
Okay. Hey, look,
people want to believe. You want to believe.
People want to believe.
And I get it. You should.
And there's a lot about the way Borganzi kind of handles himself. The press conferences. I mean, look, the bottom line is there's a limited amount of information that we or anybody else really have, right? Like, we're not working with Mike Borganzi every day. We have no idea, some of the conversations that they've had that have led to some of the decisions that they've made. So there's a limitation as to what we actually know about all this. And ultimately it's going to be determined by, basically Cam Ward. Like, we can get into all the other stuff about, is Femi Oladejo going to end up being a good player? What do they do with the number 4 overall pick here? I mean, all those things are part of it, and it's important. But if Cam Ward's a total bust, and they're having to draft a quarterback here again in 2 years, that's probably not going to be very good for Mike Borganzi. So in some ways, it's just kind of as simple as that. Does Cam Ward work out, or does it not? But, like, I understand if you're a Titans fan, you've been wandering through the wilderness here the last few years. You want to believe. And I think they've made some good moves that have position themselves to be able to maybe start to build this thing here. But I think the bottom line is we don't know right now with Mike Borganzi. And the more information that we're able to gather on him, the closer we're going to get to finding out here. But in some ways, John, I hate to boil it down this way, but I think it's all going to come back to Cam Ward. Is he good? Great. That means Mike Borganzi's probably doing a good job and is going to be here. And if he's not, he's probably not going to be here to make the next quarterback selection.
Right. Now, if he were Indianapolis's GM, he still could be.
That's true.
So, it depends on who you're working for in this league. Somehow, you're talking about, I don't know how many lives that guy has, Ballard in Indy, but he's been able to, I suppose, and I don't know. If you're trying to predict Amy right now, you probably should default to fire. You're fired. You're just the next person is fired sooner than you would think. But if Borganzi, if he has a really good draft, this draft, and some of these signings work out, and a Femi turns into at least a good player and things like that, Winston, you hit on that, there's a lot. There's DK, it takes another step, and it's like, wow, what a pick in the 4th round. Well, if you do enough of that, then you might be able to you have another quarterback in your tenure. But that stuff has to be good enough to where you're winning enough. It's kind of like with Mariota. Like, the Titans were good. They were good. They're a playoff team. He won a playoff game. They were a good team. They had an overall solid team that John Robinson had built. And so then, and of course, he didn't pick Mariota. That's the difference. But, you move on to the next quarterback. It works out great. Is it possible for Borganzi to, have that? We'll see. But that's where, like, this draft is so critical. I mean, if this doesn't yield immediate, like, if you stick and pick at 4, whoever that 4 is, before September's over, we should all be saying, "Oh my God, what a pick!" Right? Like that. Yeah. That has to be the case. And then obviously some of the other picks are really important, less so as you get deeper in the draft, and especially now. I mean, I think you're just going to see fewer sleepers in the 6th, 7th who come in and do stuff because the talent level has been diluted by college football there. But yeah, this draft is gigantic for him. I mean, Liam, I think this is probably a fair take. So there's a fine line between confidence and delusion. Not sure how any Titan fans could have legitimate confidence. I'll settle for hope. That's probably fair.
615-737-1025, our phone number. Your confidence level in Mike Borganzi as we enter into his second draft tonight with number 4 overall coming up for the Tennessee Titans. We'll take more of your thoughts. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Ian Safar is enjoying himself. I mean, if they do take Jeremiah Love, Joe, I mean, you could basically do this all summer. I mean, it's all songs are about is love. So
Yeah.
it'd be a long time that Ian could run through this.
I think that's a great idea. We should compile like our top 200 songs with love in them. And we could find 200. I bet, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes. You could find more than 200.
Yeah.
I bet there are some Creed songs that talk about love.
I'd like you to play Pixies La La Love You, please. Can you please play that?
Here we go.
Sure.
Here we go.
I'll take requests.
Thank you.
I'll request line.
I'll take requests. Why not?
By the way, the YouTube chat is just like turned into like Scotty Scheffler ripping.
Don't be coming after Scotty Scheffler, man.
Yeah. I mean, people are talking about
like coming after a member of my family.
People are talking about like the footwork of golfers. And I'm like, dude, get me out of this place. Calgon, take me away.
You love it. It's good stuff.
God.
I'm just saying, like, if you think Scotty Scheffler's a boring golfer, like, do you like watching good golf or do you not? Because I would argue if you like watching good golf, it's pretty fun to watch.
Let's get back to my feet. And to your point, people coming after Scotty is like people coming after Isaiah Thomas with me. So don't mess with
don't be doing that.
Don't Don't be
doing that.
I know better.
Josh says, I feel decent about Borganzi, but my mom told me Santa was in there. I'm not going to read the rest of that text message. We have children listening.
Way to stop yourself.
I stopped myself.
Santa had a super long beard.
We've had someone get in trouble about that before.
Santa's beard is not as long as some people say it is. It's actually.
I'm going to start reading these text messages before I read.
Come on, Josh. Do you not understand? Like this audience is not just adults. That's why I say words like mother farter on it. Okay. We have children.
Jeez.
For fart's sake.
Keith says, if the Titans take Love, then Robby gets ready for a lot of Beatles songs. Good Lord. Well, they can't take Jeremiah Love now.
We do. The Beatles do have some. They've got some love songs. Now, beyond All You Need Is Love, they got some other ones too.
That's true.
We'll play them all.
Yeah. Although, as somebody points out, I think if it's Styles, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to find. We found some, but I don't think you can go like more than a few days with Styles songs.
Yeah. And then
Bailey, we're out.
Yeah. Arvell. Are there any songs with Arvell in them?
I don't know. Don't think so.
Scrounging, man.
Oh, man. Nathan from Lawrenceburg says, if you're making the pick right now and Mendoza, Reese, and Bailey are off the board, who are you taking? Jeremiah Love. That's who I'm taking. But everybody says now he's going number 3. Like, everybody has got him going number 3. And as much as I don't want to believe that, Joe, like, that has to mean something, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, but like in some cases, it just depends on who's doing it. Like some of it gets into groupthink and people just copycatting people, right? I mean, there may be some of that, but yeah, it's overwhelming. And our guy Brugler has the final mock. It must be a great day for him, man.
Must be,
Although now you got to start. Although we will be heavily awaiting the early, first round mock for 2027 from Dane, but he's got the same thing, and so it does seem to be widespread. But yeah, in that scenario, I'm with you. Take Love. If everybody's right and he's going 3, if Bailey or Reese are there, then man, again, he thinks it's going to be Reese, but that one is a split. That's all over the place.
Yeah.
I think that to me is best case scenario. Dane Brugler has best case scenario for the Tennessee Titans, which is Reese is who the Jets like. Then you get Love out of the way. And I know some Titans fans listen to it like, no, please, I want the exciting offensive skill guy, and I get it. But if the Titans end up with David Bailey falling in their lap, I think that's just a great situation for them.
Well, and even, we talk about immediate impact, and Jeremiah Love, everybody talks about that with the offense, and I get it. I think you'll have an immediate impact with the offense. But think about Bailey, not only just the individual skill, right? But it's also about if you take Bailey, you've got Bailey on the edge, you've got John Franklin Myers and Jeffrey Simmons up front, you've got Jermaine Johnson, who you just traded for this offseason. Like, all of a sudden you start to look at the Titans front and it's pretty good. Like, if David Bailey is what you hope he is, right? Like if Bailey immediately comes in the league And that's what all these draft gurus and all these experts say about him is like he's ready to be a really good player in the NFL right now, like immediately. Well, if that's what he is and he comes into the league, just think about that front. If that's what he is, if John Franklin Myers is what he was last year, and if Jeffrey Simmons is close to what he was last year, that's a pretty darn good front that's gone from, basically Jeffrey Simmons and a bunch of dudes last year to all of a sudden probably being the strength of your football team.
And then, then all of a sudden, oh, wow, the Femi guy can play. Imagine that, imagine there's a scenario. And the thing is, man, if you have that, it really makes such a difference for your whole football team. It really does. First of all, obviously your back end, they all look better. And that there is nothing more important to a secondary than a quarterback who is uncomfortable, who has limited time and knows it, and hits the ground a fair amount. And then you have the makings of a defense that really can be a winning team's defense, and that is a help to Cam Ward. I promise you. And by the way, if they do that, this is a great idea. The theme song should be "Eminence Front" by the Who. What a jam! what a jam that is.
There you go. Let's head back. Josh invoked the name of Santa. We go now to Santa in Portland on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Santa, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Robby, Joseph, it's always a pleasure to call in and talk to you, even if I'm not trolling Joe regarding Ashton Jeanty.
There we go.
I heard my name. I'm not sure what that's about, but I do want to call in and ask a serious question about the draft. I think we all agree that edge is important to the Titans, and I'm starting to wonder just how important. If Reese and Bailey are gone, and it comes to Jeremiah Love is available, there are other edges that are probably going to go in the first round. Is it because they're just not as valuable as the first two, like these two kids from Miami, Bain and Mesidor? Is it just because Love is just so much better than the two of them that they would not take one of those guys? And I'll hang up and listen, and you guys have a good day.
Thank you, Santa. Appreciate it. Well, the interesting thing about that, Joe, is I would say yes. Like if you're going by, the way that the draft gurus have put it out there and the way that I think a lot of teams feel. I mean, Jeremiah Love is a better prospect than like Reuben Bain, for instance. But what about the Titans? Like, did the Titans love Reuben Bain? Like, look, if you told me tonight, Joe, that Reuben Bain went like 5th to the Giants because the Giants absolutely love him, I've seen way crazier things happen in the NFL draft than Reuben Bain going like 5th to the Giants tonight.
Oh, absolutely. No, it's a good question. And then it gets into, reaching for need, So, and again, this is by how the draft analysts rank players. And of course they are going off reporting. They're going off their own evaluations, but they're also going off reporting. And then, some of the reporting, I think the overall rankings of players, there's a pretty general consensus that's not like misinformation. The misinformation is the Cardinals, whatever. Like, this team might do this, might do that. Oh, the Colts love Will Levis, whatever. Yeah. But there's still like any team could have very different rankings than these, right? Any individual team. We know the Raiders used to, because Mike Mayock took some wacky picks back in the day, and they didn't work out. So he wasn't very good at it, but like it is possible. I guess the answer to me is like, so you're sitting there and you're gonna take the edges are gone. You need an edge. You're gonna take Jeremiah Love. I would say take Jeremiah Love because I believe in BPA, best player available. While positional value also needs to be a factor. But yeah, like what if you took a Bain there and thought he can be an edge and he's gonna be great. The Mesidor, as Mark called in earlier. Mark said he's not a first round pick. Well, let me tell you something. Dane's got him going in the first half of the first round.
Yeah.
So
he's gonna be a first round pick.
Yeah, he's gonna be a first round pick. How much then you just get into like, okay, is that too much of a reach? Versus taking the running back who is definitely a higher rated player. It's I mean, these are all interesting discussions, and ultimately, what's going to happen is if pretty soon, really even by the end of next year, but it's in a couple years for sure, we'll know some of these players will end up being great, and everyone will be like, oh my god, like if only people knew, they would have taken Keldrick Falk number 3 overall. He's the best edge by far in this draft. The guy's insane. For the Cowboys or whoever he's playing for. He's so much better than Bailey, these guys. How did they mess this up? That happens. And it will happen with some players in this draft who we all agree are this is how they are ranked. And then the reality will hit. And some of the reality will be about the fit and where they went and how that helped them be great.
We will continue to take your phone calls. Hang on the line with us. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. More coming up next on the NFL Draft. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Our football offseason coverage brought to you by Tennessee Brew Works, the official craft beer of football offseason coverage here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. We'll have the Rant coming up here in a few minutes. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports will be with us at 8 o'clock. We're taking your thoughts on the NFL draft. Let's head back to our phone line. Welcome in Adam in Portland to the program. Adam, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
So I'm sure a lot of this is posturing, like you guys see it every single time. But do you remember Floyd telling a story about how in '95 the Jags tried to shake him down for a pick?
Yeah.
To jump from 2 to 3. Yeah. So everybody knew they were taking Baselli, but they're like, well, we're going to take your guy. We're going to take Mac. And they're like, screw you, buddy. What is that not the exact same thing that could be happening with the Cardinals right here? Like, well, we're going to take your running back. So I wouldn't flinch on this, man. Like, I don't think they're doing it at all. I think if it's not for the Titans, I think they're doing it for someone else. But I don't think they have interest in that running back at 3, dude. I still see us end up getting that. My prediction's been all along. I think we're going to somehow figure out a way to get Bain. That would be my favorite ever. So if we could trade back and get Bain, but I don't think we're going to stick there and pick a running back.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, the Arizona stuff going to be really interesting tonight. Like if they're not able to trade back and they're on the clock at 3, do they actually take Jeremiah Love? That to me is going to be very, very intriguing to see whether or not that happens. Let's head back to our phone line. Welcome in Daryl to the program. Daryl, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Guys, the guy mentioned, the prior caller mentioned Bain. When I think of Bain, I remember previous shows in the recent past, there was a worry about his wingspan, his size of his arms or his length.
Yeah.
I'm a Dolphins fan, and look at Zach Thomas. He wasn't the fastest guy in the world. He wasn't nearly the athlete he didn't have the natural speed that Bain has. I just think Bain's going to be a great a great edge rusher. And I think the Titans they need more than a running back. They need to build that defense and get some, other positions besides worrying about running back right now. But I'll hang up and listen. Go Titans.
Thank you, Daryl. Appreciate it. You're talking, obviously 2 different time periods in the NFL, 2 different positions there, Joe. Yeah. But the overall point is it's worth considering. Like, just because Ruben Bain's arms aren't the length that you want them to be, does the film not tell you that he's going to be a pretty good NFL player? Like, ultimately, isn't that what you have to come back to when you're evaluating these guys? Is what does the film say about what they are?
By and large, yes. There's plenty of film of unbelievably great college players who did nothing in the NFL, though. And I'm not saying he will be that, but the film doesn't have him going up against the 6'7" monsters at tackle that he'll see in the NFL. He saw some of those guys. Yeah, he's such a fascinating test case. It'd be great to see him come in the league, play edge, be great, and debunk the idea that you with that wingspan you can't be a dedicated edge player who produces at a high level. Because I think some teams are looking at him, and there's a lot of reporting to this effect that are like, yeah, we'll probably move him around, move him inside, or whoever takes him will probably do that. Which, by the way, okay, if he's going to wreck games,
I have no interest in that at number 4 though. I don't.
Yeah, well, so to me, it's like he better be able to play edge at least a lot, right? Like, again, moving a player around, everybody does that anyway.
Sure.
But yeah, that's the thing. So the history makes me a little. It's just like at 4, it's like, man, that is it's not nothing, but like I've said it many times, if they move down, or if I'm a team picking at 9, right around there, I don't hesitate. I think he's going to be a damn good football player. He had his strength and his power moves and everything, that is going to translate. He's going to come in this league and he's going to beat people up front. And again, this is just whatever year it was, our program was not on the air at that point, but like whatever year it was, like Aaron Donald went like what, late in the first round, right? And
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not the same thing as Bain. I mean, he was a tackle, but like no one knew he was going to be what he became. But he was just such a powerful player with such quick feet, and he just dominated. And I'm not saying Ruben Bain's going to be him, but Ruben Bain is a guy who I think is going to make plays. And by the way, talked about Brugler's last episode. So here's a stunner for you. He has Ruben Bain going earlier than Sonny Styles.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
That'd be a
That's
stunner.
pretty wild. That would be.
I have not seen much of that at all.
By the way, going back to the 2014 NFL draft, which is when Aaron Donald was taken, it was 13th overall.
13. Okay. Okay.
Jadeveon Clowney was the number 1 pick that year.
Yeah. There you go.
Blake Bortles was taken 3rd. The Titans picked 11th and took Taylor Lewan, which was a good pick, but he wasn't Aaron Donald, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike Evans went number 7 overall. Khalil Mack went number 5 overall. So there's some good players in there, but Buffalo took Sammy Watkins at 4th overall. They'd probably go back and take the Aaron Donald. That'd be my guess.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So you redraft that one, and I mean, Aaron Donald obviously
He's probably
is number 1.
Yeah.
It's funny that Clowney is an example there. Now Mack is an example of, there you go. How many edges that turn out great are correlated with high picks? There's another one, but Clowney is an example of, he was undisputed the number 1 pick. And where would he be drafted now? Where would Clowney go? He was a good player
he's fine.
But like 2nd round pick, 3rd round pick?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, he'd probably be, into the 1st round, early 2nd round. Like, he's a good player, but he was, people kept playing. And it's not like it was just this play in college, but it does kind of show you that, just because you're so dominant in college doesn't always mean it's going to translate in the NFL. But people just played the play against Michigan over and over again leading up to the draft. It was like, well, this guy's a freak, and he's going number 1 overall.
Yeah, and certainly he did more than that. I mean, at South Carolina, there were times, but that's the thing. Like the film is still film against college players. It's the best information of all the information. It's better than any of the testing and all that stuff, but it is still. It's like there's a lot of guys in those cut-ups that won't sniff the NFL.
If I could just get Jadeveon to show up to practice, just imagine how good he'd be. Jadeveon, be good.
Oh God, those were good times. Spurrier just bitching to the media about him constantly.
Jadeveon's nowhere to be found out there. I can't find him, but he'll show up on game day. He'll be ready to go.
Justin in Smyrna says Bain doesn't just have short arms; they're 1st percentile arms. 1st percentile. I assume you mean relative to edges. I mean, but like in terms of actual distance, it's not like it's what, a couple inches, right, from like standard.
I'm not even going to respond to this because I know Ian's back there clipping stuff as we stand. So. What
did I do? Oh boy,
I'm working on other stuff. So I'll have to go back.
Have I walked into something else here?
I'm just gonna leave this one alone. We got the Rob Rant coming up next. Got Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports at 8:00. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode 102.5 The Game.
Don't make me angry.
Sometimes you have to tell someone to pound sand.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
This is the Rob Rant. Now on Robby and Rexrode.
Boy, did that make me mad.
It's farting ridiculous. Can't stand it.
Our latest criminal has made it in the building.
Apparently it got pretty bad. Police had to get involved. He's bound to knack. A husky is on his way.
Oh, they better not take Levis. Drake May's probably better than Will Levis.
Get out of here, Mayo boy. I'm absolutely going Mason Rudolph over Drake May.
I will fart your world up.
Fart you, Karski. Ugh.
I hate everybody.
I need video to confirm it wasn't him.
Catch one stray pee-pee, and I've got other words I can say, but I'm going to hold those off.
It is time for the Rob Rant, brought to you by Rapid Response Generators. Power when it matters most. Check them out at rapidresponsegenerators.com. We will have Charles Robinson coming up at 8 o'clock. A lot of stuff to get into with C-Rob. So looking forward to that. Or Charlie, as Joe Rexrode is now calling him. So looking forward to having Charlie on the show.
Chuck.
Yep.
All kinds of ways you can go there.
So Joe, I knew that this would probably get lost in the shuffle today because it's NFL draft day, but we got to bring this up at least for a few minutes. Alabama and Kalen DeBoer have agreed to a new 7-year contract that takes his money up to $12.5 million a year. It doubles his buyout, I guess, if he leaves Alabama within the next 3 years. And now he's a top 5, highest paid coach in college football, all those things. So I guess his original agreement, all that basically did was extended by 2 years, and now it ends in late January of 2033. So that's the contract now in place for Kalen DeBoer. I guess my question to you is, why was this necessary right now? Like, if you're Alabama, look at this. First off, it's April, it's mid-April when this is going on. So I would assume, I guess they've been working on this for a while and it finally nailed it down here. But like, if you're Alabama, I would call Kalen DeBoer to this point. I mean, it hasn't been a failure, but disappointing for sure, right? Like, you're talking about one of the blue bloods of college football, and you've just gotten absolutely destroyed by Indiana in the college football playoff this past year. His first year didn't go very well, and there are a bunch of Alabama fans that I know that are looking at this and saying, I'd probably like to see him get fired after next year, right? So, like, as the one of the nation's premier college football experts, Joe, make this make sense to me. Why now? Why this move for Alabama and Kalen DeBoer?
College sports is so dumb, like I can't even put it into words. I loved our headline at The Athletic on this. Here's the headline. Kalen DeBoer, thought to be on hot seat, will now make more than Nick Saban at Alabama. That's a pretty good, that sums it up. $12.5 million. Saban made 11.1 in 2023. He was the highest paid coach in college football. The salaries continue to, everything goes up. Oh, we don't have enough money. Where's the money? Oh, let's just keep paying more and more for everything. There's no reason to do this. None. He's 18-8. He's 18-8 at Alabama. It's a disappointment. I'm not saying he should be like on the hot seat to be fired. But you know what? When they got smoked by Florida State last year, there are people talking about that. Like, this might actually be just a complete disaster. To his credit, they turned it around. But 18-8 at Alabama, and it's we are not in the era anymore. Like when Philip Fulmer did this with Jeremy Pruitt. It was early, I think, in the 2020 season, right? I think that's right.
I believe that is correct.
And back then it was still like, well, you're in recruiting, the recruits have got to see that the coach has like 5 years on the deal. Okay. I mean, there was worry, of course there was worry. Ooh, will Bama steal Pruitt away? Maybe he can replace DeBoer, guys. But
think about that conversation that we had on this show.
Oh, we did. We weren't like on an island either, but like that was kind of the mindset back then. In today's college football, that doesn't exist. I mean, you're still recruiting people out of high school and you want them to think your coach has security, but it's not like so much of the team building obviously is much more short-term and it's much more year to year.
And they don't care if that right now they can leave. If the coach leaves, they'll just hit the portal and go.
Exactly. So they're not stuck with that anyway. I like, this is insane to me. And Greg Byrne, this is a statement, quote, "We're pleased to extend Coach DeBoer and are proud to have him leading the Crimson Tide football program. He is an excellent coach and has done a commendable job developing our student athletes." Commendable. Here's $12.5 million. It's so dumb. So much of this universe of college sports is dumb. And every day there's a new headline that you're just like, what?
Yeah. Look, Kalen DeBoer, when he got hired at Alabama, I mean, obviously the resume is impressive, right? Like he's won everywhere that he's been. He did a great job at Washington. And I understand, the excitement level from him. And he may end up being a good coach at Alabama. Like they could have, clearly they love their quarterback this year. They could end up going on a run and winning a national championship this year. I have no idea.
Then you do this.
But don't you need to see that, right? Like I guess the timing of it is the biggest thing. It's like it makes no sense to do this right now. How about you see how this season goes and whether or not you want to fire him at the end of it, and then we can start talking about contract extensions. Like it's a pretty stupid move from Alabama, who has not made very many stupid moves in recent years past when it comes to coaching decisions.
So I'm trying to see here if and I'm sure there's not an if, there's some, but what the effect would be on the buyout, because again, if they lose a couple games early this year, that's what every Alabama fan will be doing. What is his buyout?
Yeah.
So you I don't see. I know Seth Emerson wrote the story for us, so he'll be getting the contract, and that information will be out there. It may be out there somewhere else. I don't know, but I assume there's some impact on the buyout, some increase in the buyout. Which again, you're just potentially lighting money on fire if it goes bad, and it could go bad.
Yeah, by the way, look, they play Georgia again this year, and I know for whatever reason they seem to play well against Georgia. They got Tennessee on the road. They got LSU on the road. They got Vanderbilt on the road. They got Florida State again this year. Look, Alabama's going to be good this year, but it's not beyond the realm of possibility that they lose 2 or 3 games and are like right there on the razor's edge of making the playoff, right? So what if they don't? What if they don't make the playoff this year and you just sign them to an extension? How do you think that's going to go over with Alabama fans?
Yeah, disaster.
ESPN is reporting the buyout will be $10 million through January 31st of 2027, and then the buyout decreases by $2 million after each of the next 2 years.
Okay. The buyout is not horrific, so good for you. The buyout's not terrible. There's still no reason to do this whatsoever. Quietly, also, by the way, they announced Nate Oates gets an extension.
Yeah.
Nate Oates should get an extension. Nate Oates, pay him. Nate Oates has done things for Alabama basketball. Wimp Sanderson was a really good coach for a long time, but Nate Oates has taken this program to a completely different level. So he's up to $6.3 million, and he'll get up to $7.25 by the end of the deal in the 2031-32 season. That one makes sense to me. You want to keep Nate Oates around. Other people want to hire him. Now, North Carolina was like, yeah, and they sort of some things about him they didn't, have any interest in. But still, that's a guy who a lot of other programs might want to hire away. Right now, I know Michigan fans for a time last year were like, ooh, maybe Kalen DeBoer, maybe he just fits better at Michigan. But, if he has another 4-loss year at Alabama, it's going to look real bad.
Yeah. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports will be with us coming up next for his weekly visit. We'll get his thoughts on the NFL draft coming up tonight and all things NFL. The Game Nashville Sports Network having live coverage of the NFL draft today from T-Line Nashville and tomorrow from Chicago's home of Chicken and Waffles. Coverage begins at 6 o'clock today on 102.5 The Game and tomorrow on Sports Talk 830, presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment, Pizona MD, Nelson's Greenbrier Distillery, Sealmaster, and Tri-State Water, Power, and Air Home Generators. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning, presented by Green Ventures Landscaping, outdoor patios, landscaping design, lawn maintenance, and more. Check them out at greenventureslandscaping.com. Let's head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in our friend Charles Robinson to the program from Yahoo Sports. Charles, good morning. How are you?
What's going on, gents? Get it on. Let's go.
We have made it to draft day. We are finally here. So with that, Charles, a lot of interesting conversations this week around the Arizona Cardinals at number 3. I mean, if you look at all these mock draft gurus out there, I don't think any of them had Jeremiah Love at number 3 to Arizona prior to like Monday this week. And now all of them do. So I guess number one, what do you make of that? And what do you make of the idea also that Arizona is looking to get out of there at number 3?
Well, I think, as we've gotten closer to the draft, I think the thing that has troubled teams, really, I mean, you could say it from the start, but it never really changed, is that when teams sat there and looked at their board and said, okay, what are our, who are our best prospects? What are our best assessments? When we're sitting there, we're just stacking up the board based on like our evals. You had a safety in Caleb Downs. You had a running back, Jeremiah Love. You had an off-ball linebacker, Sonny Styles, who are all sitting up there at the top of a lot of boards. They're not premium positions. And so you just have teams that are sitting there going, this is what we're going to have to do in this draft. Like, we're going to have to pay a ton of guaranteed money to some non-premium position guys. And unless we can trade out, I think the Raiders feel good about being at 1 with Mendoza. Okay, fine. It's a good enough quarterback. I think David Bailey and the Jets, I think that's another position where I think the Jets feel fine, sitting at number 2. But then once you get past that, what's interesting about the Cardinals is I think, number 1, I think Jeremiah Love is I've heard 1 and 2 on their board in terms of their top overall prospect. I don't think they're alone in this. I think they sit there and stare at that and they go, okay, we're at 3. If we draft him, we're paying him $50 million in guaranteed money. And it's, again, a non-premium position. And when you look afield, Saquon Barkley got $36 million in guaranteed money last year. Ashton Genty, I think it was like 35.9. Kenneth Walker wins a Super Bowl MVP and he can't get more than, I think he had 28.7 from the Chiefs in guaranteed money. All of a sudden you're gonna not only make Jeremiah Love the highest paid in terms of guaranteed money running back in the league, it's going to be by a lot. And, I think to stick there and take him, you have to really, really be convicted. And so I think the Cardinals are open for business. I don't think there's any surprise that you're seeing them as that sort of trade up target now at number 3. I do think they would move back. I think it would require a first round pick in 2027. And what I think is interesting for the Titans is, say they stick and pick. Say they go, you know what, we just don't, no one's offering up that 2027 first that we really want. Everybody's being greedy about that draft. So let's just stick here. Love's our guy, we'll pay the money, whatever. And then all of a sudden you have, like, let's say Arvell Reese is sitting there at 4. I wonder then if that creates an opportunity for the Titans. If you have the Saints, the Chiefs, I think the Saints and the Chiefs will be the 2 teams everybody's going to talk today about wanting to scoot up inside that top 10, get a little higher, I think, for an edge. And I wonder if it creates that opportunity then for the Titans to say, hey, we're open for business at 4. I believe they would also want a 2027 first for someone to come up and get, an Arvell reset at number 4. I think if if that happens, that's lucrative. I think any team that walks out of this draft trading back and picking up a 2027 first in the process ends up being a winner in this draft. I truly believe that. I've heard it so much. I've heard people just bang on this draft so much outside of the defensive line and the offensive, line near the top of the draft that I literally had someone, an evaluator, and it was funny because I ended up using the quote in a story today about Ty Simpson being this unknown in the draft. I mean, he called it the worst draft in NFL history, and it didn't even resonate with me that it was even a spicy quote. And I filed a piece, and
that's spicy.
My NFL editor calls me. And he's like, "Hey, man, this quote's kind of inflammatory."
Al Toby called you, said, "Dude, bro."
Yeah, he was like, "Dude,
he went to college with us too."
Yeah, he said it was a super inflammatory quote, and I was like, "Man, I have heard that so much, it doesn't even register with me anymore." That it's, back in February, I probably would have raised an eyebrow, but. So, I think it's going to be interesting at 3 and 4, that turn there. And I truly believe that maybe the Cardinals hold a little bit of key to how much chaos happens early and whether or not they're willing to commit to Love at 3.
Okay, so that's interesting. So, because I don't know, I feel like the Saints might be more like enamored with a receiver, but like the Chiefs really wanting an edge, and like a lot of people have them like looking at them like maybe taking Bain at 9. The Chiefs. Reese is there, I guess, or Reese or Bailey. Right? And
I'm telling you, I think if the Saints or Chiefs move up, it's for Reese. I truly believe that. It's not for a receiver. I can tell you that.
Okay.
I would be stunned.
No, yeah.
If one of these.
No, I know they're not moving up for receiver. What I'm saying is, I did my doubts that the Saints would do it because they could get a receiver at 8. But the Chiefs, they seem like edge for sure.
Yeah.
So they come up, and so we've been talking about the Chiefs as a possibility, like 9 and 29. But instead, Titans may be like 9 and next year's 1, even though next year's 1 could be probably pretty low, but it's still just a way better draft. So that would be the preference.
Yeah, you'd want. I'm telling you, I truly 100% believe that you would go for the 2027 first, not the late first this year. The value difference, and it's funny because some evaluators, GMs, you make enough of these calls and. You kick around the 2027 draft, they get agitated and they say, look, man, you can't do that. You can't keep depending on next year's class being great because you don't know what injuries are going to happen.
And doesn't that get exaggerated too? I feel like a lot of times we're like, oh, next year, the quarterbacks next year. And then we see another year of college football and it's like, oh, wait, we might have overestimated a little bit. Right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I will tell you.
Maybe it's more with quarterbacks than overall.
I've heard more. Like the 2027 draft reminds me of 2024. I heard about 2024 like 2 years out, and the build up to 2024. And 2024, for all intents and purposes, obviously there's been misses, but it's a banger. I mean, it's been a very, very good class. And 2027, it's the same deal. The key is the quarterbacks, right? I mean, like there's an expectation that a ton of these quarterbacks could. Really materialize and be great players. But, the Dylan Raiola kid, it's kind of funny because 2 years ago, everyone was projecting him in the 2027 draft. He's not even going to be a starter next year in college football. So people get excited, but there's just too many people on that draft and too many people talking about the depth at so many different positions that it's hard for me to believe it's not going to materialize. And by the way, not only that, I mean, they're backing it up by just being, as we've gotten closer to the draft, there's been more and more teams that are like, we don't want to deal. The people are poking around trying to, potentially move back in this draft, but they always want to talk about 2027 compensation. We don't want to move that.
So, Charles, speaking of the draft, looks like one person won't be there for day 3, and that's Mike Vrabel, who addressed the media earlier this week on the Rossini-Vrabel situation, gave his opening statement, didn't get into a whole lot of detail about any of that stuff. And now here we find out that I guess he's going to counseling this weekend. That came out late last night, early this morning, that's going to be taking place on day 3 of the NFL draft. So what do you make of everything we've seen from Vrabel this week and this latest turn that has him going to counseling on day 3 of the NFL draft?
Well, I mean, it just like seems to get worse and worse. Like every time somebody opens their mouth, in terms of the PR for everybody involved, it just seems like it gets worse. And I think that does include the Patriots too. The way that Vrabel first spoke to the media finally, this idea that it was kind of, the Patriots try to pull a fast one where all of a sudden it's like, hey, Vrabel's going to show up and talk to you guys after everybody had already left. The facility and, like that was going to fly under the radar or at least, lessen the reaction. Instead, it kind of stirred up, the reporters that covered the team who, hammered the Patriots for how they handled it. what I think is interesting here is that it's like, it feels like it's really one of two avenues, right? I mean, for this to come out now, I think it's not my count. I saw another reporter say it's been 16 days. But if we're 16 days later and now he's saying, now I'm going to miss the third day of the draft in which we have 8 picks, right? It's not inconsequential. It's not like, the Patriots only have 2 picks. No, there's going to be a lot of players potentially selected in those rounds. That's a lot of conversation. And those are also picks where there's a lot of back and forth that happens, in the room about potentially trading, moving around. Oh, this guy's coming down to us, or, we've lost out on somebody we're targeting. So now we have to move. There's certainly a lot of discussion that happens. So if it's, legitimately he's going to miss that process, it's not a small thing. And again, I think you look at it 2 ways. Like, it's either, are you trying to get ahead of something else? Like we've seen the New York Post people continue to trot out pictures, which you can say whatever you want about that. But I mean, it doesn't feel like it's a story some outlets are willing to let go of. And so you're wondering, okay, is there more to the story that the Patriots and Vrabel are trying to get ahead of right now? Or B, this is my conspiracy theory or whatever you want to call it. And I think this is legitimate. I think the Patriots recognize some of the discussion around this, over the last couple of weeks has been that Mike Vrabel hasn't, quote unquote, like been held accountable for anything. That, he had to talk to the team.
Right. So it's performative.
Ownership.
That's my theory.
Right.
Too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's performative.
Performative. Right. Yeah, it's performative. This is now, depending on what you think about it and whether or not it's once again performative and whether or not what his involvement's going to be if he's away from the team on day 3, it does give the Patriots a foothold to say, look, there wasn't nothing done. Mike was, he sat out the third day of our draft. We had 8 draft picks or however many picks they end up with. That is certainly unprecedented. When you look at NFL history, I don't recall a head coach going to counseling on day 3 of the draft and potentially missing that process. So I think if anything, it just gives the Patriots an ability to push back a little bit on this idea that, well, they've done nothing with Mike Vrabel and, Diana Rossini, resigned, from her job at the Athletic, and she's felt the repercussions of this, whatever it was, ultimately, and Mike Vrabel hasn't felt any repercussions at all. Up until now, as you said, Joe, it's felt performative, and this is certainly something different. And again, I think it just provides the Patriots and Vrabel with an additional measure to say it's not like nothing was done here on their part.
Yeah, none of it's working. I mean, it's just the whole thing's an absolute freaking PR disaster. It's
I think
truly incredible.
Yeah.
So Charles, Jermon McCoy, we talked about him earlier in the show. There's something about, I guess, the other knee. What is it? Is this real? Is this going to be one of those things where people start talking about this and then he goes 17th tonight?
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously he had the right knee injury, misses the 2025 season. I will say that, like, the last 48, 72 hours, as I'm calling around, kind of doing hey, are you hearing anything? What are you hearing? What's going on? Like, what's the buzz? McCoy's name's come up a couple of times as a guy who's, okay, this degenerative knee issue is certainly, it feels like it's a more of a legitimate concern than maybe teams were letting on earlier. And McCoy is this guy that could potentially slide out of the first round or slide to like the bottom of the first round. And, fully healthy, even missing the 2025 season was probably considered like a 15 to 20, pick sort of guy. I'm a little, I will say, remember Christian Fulton, the corner out of LSU?
Oh, yes. We do. We remember him well.
You do. He played there. Yes. Yeah, obviously. So I remember leading into that draft, I heard he was going to drop like a stone. Like, oh, Fulton's just, it's really bad. And, Fulton's, his injuries, are too concerning. The medical's too concerning. He's being subboarded by a number of teams, getting basically put on there. He's got the red dot. And Fulton ended up being, where did he go in that draft? I mean, he's a first round pick. And so it just didn't materialize. So I'm kind of like, is this the same situation where all of a sudden everyone's kind of floating like, oh, this is really concerning, and there's somebody, near the bottom of the first round that's maybe trying to get some teams to hesitate a little bit on McCoy and potentially push him to the bottom of the first round. But he's definitely one that, there's certainly been a lot of negative buzz the last couple of days. And then this Arizona safety, Traden Stukes, who's kind of like a flex safety, positionless safety, quote unquote, which is, everybody loves those guys now, Nick Eamon-Wari and, those types. He's the one that I'm certainly have heard, hey, there are more teams on this guy than you think. He wasn't, just wasn't really projected to be a first round pick. Now it's sounding like not only will he be a first round pick, he could potentially maybe even be in the early 20s. So like Stukes is sort of opposite of McCoy, where you're definitely hearing a lot of, potential that he's moving up.
So, Charles, you brought up Ty Simpson. What do you think is going to happen with him throughout this process? Because to me, it is so difficult to kind of nail down where he might go.
Yeah. I mean, I ended up writing about that today. Just that he's very Shedeur Sanders-like quality, where we went into that draft last year. No one could have thought what unfolded with Shedeur. I mean, it was shocking how it unfolded. I don't think Ty Simpson's got that kind of draft coming for him, but it's certainly one where everyone's still having kind of a hard time pinning down exactly what's going to happen with him, because I think the Cardinals make a ton of sense. Jacoby, especially with Jacoby Brissett now, I think wanting more money to be a bridge quarterback in 2020. Gardner Minshew's there. They basically have two bridge quarterbacks, and they have the need, and he fits Michael LaFleur's style of offense. They play in a dome. It gets them started on the process of developing a quarterback 1 year earlier rather than 1 year later. So this idea of, well, it's, you could potentially wait until 2027. I think the Cardinals would like to start to get moving, with a long-term quarterback now, if they can, even if he has to be, going through a developmental year. But yes, I think Simpson's, like, I heard so much about Sanders that turned out not to be true last year. I think it was the I compared it to Belichick not making it on the Hall of Fame ballot, because I felt like when it was really all done, months and months later, and you're unpacking it with teams about how Sanders falls. Yes, there was a quality of a lot of teams not liking him, a quality of a lot of teams not viewing him as a first or second rounder, maybe he's a third rounder. But there was certainly a quality, too, of a lot of teams going, well, somebody's going to take him. Somebody's going to make that mistake that we won't make, but somebody else will make it. It was, it's like Belichick. Well, everybody else is going to put him on the ballot. Somebody's going to, if I leave him off the ballot, and then he ends up not making it into the Hall of Fame. Like, it feels like there's that kind of quality a little bit with Simpson too, where it's like, well, yeah, he's going to get drafted. He's going to be, he'll be at the end of the first round, and the Cardinals will move up and try to get that fifth round of control with him. I'm just wary because of how last year went. And Simpson, one half of the year, great film, other half of the year, pretty concerning. Not a lot of starts. He fits into a bad box. The size isn't perfect. So I still think the Cardinals are the obvious connection. I think the Jets, I've said this before, I don't think the Steelers don't make sense to me just based on long-term conversations I've had with people in the Steelers organization about how they'd really like to ultimately finally resolve their quarterback stuff. But yeah, I think if you start sliding, I think, there are other chaos teams that become interesting. And I truly don't believe this, but I keep going back to that COVID draft. Like, let's say Simpson really slides, right? Let's say there's like, it just, all of a sudden it's like, wow, teams really have cold feet, and they don't like the fact that he's only got 15 college starts. No one really wants to touch that, especially with half of them being kind of questionable. And he gets into the 50s. I'll never forget sitting there. It was the COVID draft. and Howie Roseman takes Jalen Hurts at, I think it was 53 that year. And Carson Wentz was the hammerlock starter. It was like you had your franchise quarterback, you paid him, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, what on earth? What did Howie just do? Did he do this because he's at home? And it's not like, it's not like a big talk in the room. And so he pulled the trigger on this quarterback. But, I always think like Howie Roseman saw value there. Whether or not Hurts ultimately was going to become a starter for them, he saw value at the pick, saw value in the player, and sat there and said, you know what, it's here for me. I think the Eagles, I want to say, have the 53rd or 54th pick this year. And I kind of threw that out as a potential chaos team. Like, if this guy really slides, I wonder if Roseman is sitting there in the 50s and he's going, hey, maybe it's not the worst thing to have kind of a backup plan here, to kind of have another young guy in the fold, in case it's not like things have been silent with Jalen Hurts. Another team, Baltimore, the Lamar Jackson extension's not done. And the idea of them potentially moving off Jackson, especially if they don't have a great year and he doesn't have a great year next year, is going to build into the next off season. And they poked around Shedeur too when last year's draft was going on. I think they would not be, again, this is in the case of a real slide where you see Ty Simpson slide. I think you could see some kind of interesting sort of chaos teams that you don't expect coming to the fold. But I still think everybody seems to agree he's no later than, his floor is the top of the second. His ceiling is, probably late in the first, unless the Rams do something crazy and take him at 13.
So you anticipate we might be seeing just a whole bunch of O linemen coming off earlier in this draft than people think, huh? I mean, I've been seeing the Titans take one all along, but no one wants to listen to me.
A gazillion. I think
a run on O linemen.
Yeah, I think you could see a run on the top 15. Like, you could see 5, maybe 6 guys. Probably 5, but if it really goes crazy, you could see 5, 6 guys pack into the top 15 to 18 picks. And then I think, I have my notes in front of me, I think when I kind of went through all the stacks with a lot of different evaluators, it felt like it was like 8 in the top 50. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of offensive linemen up at the top of the draft. Same with the edge. O-line and edge are going to pack a crap ton of guys into the top of this draft. But they're also, if you want a tackle, if you're trying to get your offensive lineman or your edge, do it in the top 50, because there's going to be some gaps once you get past that. And I think that's what's going to kind of fuel the run on those two positions.
Well, it's going to be fascinating to find out. We finally made it to the NFL draft. Looking forward to it tonight. Charles, we appreciate you as always, my man, and have some fun tonight. We'll talk to you next week.
What's your call, by the way, on 4? I'm curious what you two have come down to. You got to have an answer. What's the call?
Like the prediction or should do?
Yeah. No. Well, okay. Give me both. Whatever. Give me both. I like that.
Should do. I will go with whoever is left over between Arvell Reese and David Bailey at number 4. My pick on what will happen is Sonny Styles.
Ooh.
Okay.
I agree with should. You know what? I agree with should, but I'm going to say that Love does fall to them and they take Love.
$48 million guaranteed, huh? Right there to a running back.
I hear you, man.
It's a lot of money.
I hear you.
Hey, listen, I'll just say this. If Sonny Styles is Fred Warner, cool. If that
better be
who he is, take him and run with it and be happy for the next 10 years. So, all right, guys, appreciate it. We'll talk next week about all the mistakes we made.
That's right.
Yeah, we will. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports, our guest here on the program. Lots of great stuff to react to from Charles there. We will do that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. I got some tickets to give away to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race, the Float 200, coming up at Nashville Super Speedway on Friday, May the 29th. To caller number 4. Caller 4, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025 will win a pair of tickets to the NASCAR Craftsman's Truck Series race coming up on May the 29th. Appreciate Charles Robinson for being with us in the last segment. Joe, your thoughts on what Charles had to say on the Mike Vrabel front as it relates to the day 3 of the draft counseling that he will now be doing?
Well, so here's another thing about this that struck me. So he did this presser the other day, and it's, you know, again, it's like I said at the time, from a PR perspective, I think it makes sense. Now, the whole ambush thing, I didn't realize what Charles said. I didn't realize that a bunch of them had left. That's ridiculous. I know people who were there were also not impressed, but the general idea of get in front of it, have something separate, okay, talk about it, whatever, you know, again, there wasn't really any information shared. Basically threw the other party under the bus, but didn't really take accountability, but take care of it. So now the draft is the draft. So tonight they're going to pick somebody. They have a first round pick, right?
I believe so. Let me double check that, but I believe they do.
Okay, so tonight, tomorrow, yeah, whatever. They pick people, and now the questions and media availabilities. You're asking about the players. You're asking about the draft. That's the idea. So now do this. How could someone tonight not ask, Mike, why would you miss the third day?
Yeah,
there's no way to schedule. So you did all that stuff to try to make this a non-story during the draft, and then you did something to make sure that you will be questioned about it during the draft. It's bizarre.
By the way, they picked 31 tonight. They do have a first-round pick. So there you go.
Wes in Clarksville says, I do counseling. You can do it virtually, and it usually only lasts an hour, so missing a whole draft day is BS. And then I also said, yeah, and also, for the most part, professionals in this business work on weekdays, right? I mean, for the most part, doctors, and mental health counselors, they work on, for the most part, on weekdays. That's generally when you would schedule sessions. So this is a Saturday. He did say you can do it on weekends, depends on the counselor's availability. But the whole thing is just, it's they are let's take this hornet's nest and just absolutely kick it a few times and then keep kicking it.
Yeah,
crazy.
It's pretty wild.
But anyway, back to the draft.
Well, what did you think of, the guaranteed money, which we've talked about with Jeremiah Love? It's a lot of money to pay a running back, particularly one that's not set foot in the NFL to this point. And apparently, not a huge surprise, but Charles is saying, that's really a point of contention with some of these NFL teams that maybe do have him first or second on their board, but are asking themselves, man, do we really want to guarantee a guy this much money coming into the league at that position? What do you make of that and how that could impact things tonight when the NFL draft comes around?
Yeah, it's when you think about the economics of your entire situation with a cap that is real, and if you're going to give top of market guaranteed money immediately to somebody, that's not what the draft is for. The draft is to get these players that later you're going to have to pay. If they're as good as you think they are, you're going to have to pay them a lot. And you hope you have that problem. But in the meantime, you get 4 years and then pick up an option with a first round pick of price control. And that allows you to do all these other things. And so, again, the number itself is basically the same, whatever the position is, but just relative to that position. Now that means you are pressed to find value at other spots where it's harder to find value, right? It's just basic economics. And believe me, I'm I'm no economist. So, but it makes sense. It's logical. It's so you are now going the opposite of value here, which means, at edge, at receiver, at offensive tackle, whatever it is, you have to compensate with value. All that said, I'm with you. If Love is there and the edges are both gone, then I'd go with him.
By the way, for the Titans at number 4, I believe the total contract value will be $48.7 million. So a year one salary of roughly $8.86 million. So there you go. That's what you're looking at tonight at number 4 overall. So if it's an edge rusher, you're like, yeah, okay. You know, value-wise, when you look at the rest of that position group around the league, if Arvell Reese or David Bailey are what you hope they could be, well, that could be pretty cheap for you if they're impactful early in the league. Running back and linebacker, it's like, oh, boy, that's a lot of money to be given a running back and a linebacker immediately in their NFL careers.
Right. And that's, again, it's not the only factor, but it's another factor in if either of the edge guys are there, this should be. Now, again, to me, Reese and Bailey are different. And Reese may end up being better than Bailey, right?
Yeah.
But either way, I think it's easy. I think it's easy if that's the case. And the question is that how it's going to turn out? Are they actually going to have one of them available to them?
I think it's easy too. And I said this to start the show. Like if Mendoza goes number 1, you should, in my opinion, end up with one of Reese, Bailey, or Love. But boy, is there a lot of talk about Sonny Styles this week with the Tennessee Titans. A lot of talk about Sonny Styles. And I don't know, like I just, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, does that win out? And does Robert Saleh think he's basically Fred Warner 2.0, and that's where they go at number 4 tonight?
And that, look, take the, everybody has mocks. Obviously, we love Dan Brugler. Let me just point out, Brugler has Styles going 11 to the Miami Dolphins. So which would be to me,
which is not the norm, by the way.
No, but it's interesting because first of all, that's an expectation that if he doesn't go real high here, there's a potential plummet. And also, I mean, to me, that's much more a commentary on the player's position than the player himself. Yeah. But it makes sense because of all the things we're talking about with premium positions and non-premium positions.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. A couple other interesting things that Charles threw out there that we will get into coming up next. We'll take your thoughts on the NFL draft on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game, taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Tee it up with us at the 5th Annual 615 Open coming up May the 28th at Hermitage Golf Course. We are supporting Folds of Honor to help them fund life-changing scholarships for families of America's fallen heroes. You can register now to play or sponsor at 615open.com. Joe, also very interesting what Charles Robinson had to say earlier this hour on the offensive line front. Said, there could be 5 or 6 that go in the top 15 to 18 picks. And when you're combining offensive line and edge rushers specifically, that you're going to see a lot of those picks in the top 50 of this year's NFL draft. So if you're the Titans and that's the way that you expect things to go too, does that make it more likely that you're pretty aggressive on the edge rusher front at either 4 or 35?
Yeah, I think that I think potentially. Yeah, I think it's easy for them. I think it's easy for them if one of the edges is there. I think now that again, I don't know their exact evaluations. We know what Mike Borganzi said publicly about all these guys, and he basically gushed about all of them in one way or the other, whether he said it unprompted or he was responding to a question about each one of those guys. So I don't know. I'd love to know what they think about comparing Bailey to Reese. But to me, it's like either of them, I think it's easy. And then if they're both gone, then it gets interesting. And look, the trade back thing. Someone really wanting, like Charles said, maybe a Reese and he's there and wants to get to 4 and maybe thinks the Giants might take or Love, it's interesting. And the idea too, with Charles, and I think it seems like this is a pretty strong consensus that teams would be like, actually give me your 27 pick. Yeah. I don't need that second first round pick you've got this year. Give me that 27. And then how would a team like the Chiefs or the Cowboys or whoever feel about that?
It's a good question. I mean, it makes me think that if that's the case, that all these trades that people are all waiting for are pretty unlikely to happen. Like if teams are that unwilling to give 2027 first round picks back, like, I don't know. Like there's this anticipation that tonight's just going to have a bunch of trades. We'll see. I hope so. Like I'd love to have a draft where there's a bunch of trades going on and it's pretty wild. And, maybe if you're the Titans, you could take advantage of that as well. But as I said earlier in the show, like particularly if Reese or Bailey are there at 4, then I think you make it pretty simple at that point. I understand the idea of wanting to trade back and get more picks, but I like adding premium players to your roster. And I think the Titans got a chance to do that tonight. So I'm on that. I think we've seen a lot of people today, Joe, that would like to see them move back. I'm a little bit less open to that than I think some are.
Yeah. But then you get into so I just mentioned Reese versus Bailey. Okay. So what about Reese versus Bain? And maybe they're like, you know what? Reese, I still need to see it. I see potential. I see traits. I've seen Bain destroy games, and I like they might have Bain ahead of Reese. I don't know. Is that some crazy idea? Like mock draft land, we think this is how everybody looks at it, and it's not. It's not how everybody looks at it. So
it's not. I mean, the one thing I would say on that is Borganzi. One of the things he did say about Reese was he's one of the most explosive prospects I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So like that, I'd have a hard time him saying, viewing Bain that same way.
Yeah. Yeah. Public comments are, it's all grain of salt too. But if you want to get into that, I still thought that the stuff he said about Styles might have been the most fawning of all of it. But again, is that because he really thinks that, or is like, oh, I better say this now? I don't know. But I'm just saying, I agree with you in general. I think they should stick and pick and get one of these great players. But if you were able to trade down and you love Bain, or you're like, I really like Carnell Tate. He's just not, a little too rich at 4, but mid is not at all at 9. I think we can get him there. Then that's where the trade down could still yield you a player you think is essentially in that top tier.
Well, you better, as we discuss every year, if that's the case, you better have a really good idea of what these teams in front of you or behind you are doing at that point, right? Like because it would suck to trade out of 4, go down to 9, and then, Bain and Tate are off the board by the time 9 comes around. You're like, well, okay, I guess we'll take,
Mekhi Lemon.
whoever.
Mekhi Lemon and
Lemon.
Prosper, and then you actually fall into an amazing pick. But yes.
Could be.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, it's a risk. I don't think they're going to trade. I think they're going to pick at 4. And I just, the Cardinals, it's like, it's so interesting, that whole situation. I don't know. I think at this point, and maybe I'm just being, bamboozled by all this stuff, but I just feel like one of those edges is going to be there. And it's going to be simple. And it's going to be simple for them,
I hope that's the way it goes tonight for the Titans. I hope one of those edge rushers is there, and that's what we're talking about tomorrow morning. And
I feel I separate them. I mean, if it's Bailey to me, then I just feel a large amount of certainty about his floor. Yeah. And I know that when you're at the top of the draft, you're like, floor, but it does matter. If the floor is really good player who's going to flirt with / get 10 sacks in many seasons, that's a good floor, and I think that is the floor. And the Reese floor is absolutely lower. Now, maybe the ceiling's higher. I don't know.
We'll find
I like
out.
floors, though.
We have finally made it to draft day here on the show. We will be back at 6 a.m. tomorrow to discuss it all, everything that went down for the Titans and elsewhere in the first round of the NFL draft. Hope everybody has a great rest of their day. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman is coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.